Are you videoing from there?
The far tank is where we've accumulated the effluent from the vibratory finisher. Now it's time for a treatment, so we're going to start up the mixing motor, which is at the top of the...
So we're gonna, hold on,
It's in treatment.
we're gonna go into, I don't know.
What did you do?
I don't know. What did I do? I turned down that.
When you get a meter.
I can't tell whether I'm...
You want to set that up somewhere?
Once the dirty water effluent is collected in the tank, we start the mixer from the control panel. So the mixer is now operating. So the more agitation, the better, but we want to be careful not to be cavitating, because the cavitation will put air into the water, and our encapsulate will actually grab air bubbles and it'll make the flock float to the top. So when you first start up the mixer, you should make the effluent mix for as long as possible. Probably 15 to 20 minutes would be the least amount, and that's we want to get all the solids up into the water. We don't want those solids to settle down at the bottom. So the longer you pre-mix, the better the treatment's going to be. Now we have a pre-mixed amount of Aquasafe powder, somewhere around 10 pounds. And that'll vary depending on how much solids are in the water. So the treatment will show how it should happen. Safe should be sprinkled in over the mixing, relatively simple. You don't want to put it in at a big clump. You want it to spread out and mix evenly as possible. So take your time to sprinkle it in onto the top. So the flocculation is starting to happen now. The Aquasafe is going to go sweep through the water and it's going to collect all the minute particles and grab them and make them into a big snowflake. Okay, we're mixing for about 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes, and the flocking should be starting to happen right now. You should be able to see this within the container. So that's what's happening, collecting all the dirt so that we can settle to the bottom. So now we're going to shut the mixer off. And now the solid should start to settle down in the tank. We're going to start to get the clean water at the top, and all the solids should be settling down to the bottom of the cone of the tank. You can see through the tank that it's starting to happen now.
I've never seen the flock.
So you can now see that the settling has happened, and in this particular case, where there's almost no dirt in the water, the flock, all the dirty flock has settled down to below the cone level. So let's look from the top. You can see that the water is clear. You should be able to see the props in the water. We can't see down to the flock at the bottom. So depending on how much water that you have in the system and how much flock, we're now dropped below our 2 stages of transferring the water. We're ready to transfer the clean water now over into the clean water tank, which means we'll be ready to feed our finishing system again. So we'll start that by opening the valve and starting the process of clean water over to the clean water tank. Get the transfer motor
Yeah.
So we start the transfer up into the clean water tank. Okay, now we've reached the first level of our transfer. Now we're going to shut the pump off. Now we're going to close the top valve and open the bottom valve and transfer the rest of the water. You really probably don't have to shut off the pump. So you're going to open it up, start the pump up, and transfer the balance of the water.
Provided there's no sludge at that outlet there, very important.
Yes, correct.
Alright, so the transfer of the water back into the clean tank is done now. So now we need to take the sludge and the residual water from the treatment and pass it through the filter tank. But it's best we just have one bank open, but in real life all 4 banks would be open on the filter tank. So to do that, we make sure all of our valves are closed. We go and we activate the sludge pump. Hopefully it's all connected there. Should be noted now we can put the system into the treatment mode. Alright, so now we're ready to transfer the sludge. We're going to open the sludge valve. We're going to come over and turn on our sump pump. And we're going to hold the sludge pump.
This system's big, because you're going to have more sludge.
Form here, the sludge has been filtered through the bags. The water is going to pump from here into the dirty water tank again, and you just keep an eye on it. And when it's empty, you shut off the sump pump over on the panel.